What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Now today I've got for you 3 fantastic quickfire entitled parent stories. The first one, simple as it comes really. One Karen at work gets outed for stealing everyone else's snacks. Now the difference is with other stories that I've read in the past, she doesn't steal them behind people's backs or, tries to be secret about it. She does it in front of everyone. Honestly, the balls on this woman are incredible. Let's get into the story. Susan the Snack Stealer. I used to work with a super entitled woman once upon a time. Her name was Susan. Susan liked to get to the office earlier than everyone else, but I didn't find out why that was until I'd worked there for a few months. She was the sort who liked to help herself to the snacks people had in the communal fridge. She'd also take individual sodas from the case my cubicle neighbor kept under her desk, and had a real thing for stealing either my chocolate or my good granola bars, depending on what I had stashed, right out of my desk drawer. She got her comeuppance one year at the office Christmas potluck. We had a lady who did Greek cooking and was magnificent at it. This particular year, she'd brought in an enormous tray of mini spanakopita, the spinach and feta cheese in phyllo dough, each roughly the size of an Oreo cookie. Literally hundreds of these little beauties stacked too high on the tray, just waiting to be devoured. And then along came Susan with the Tupperware of holding. I kid you not, she scooped fully 1/4 of the contents of that tray into her Tupperware, looking around furtively to make sure that no one would try and stop her. She brushed the phyllo crumbs from her fingers, popped the seal on her Y-sized Tupperware, and turned smugly away from the buffet table. And every single person in the office was glaring at her, fit to set her permanently ablaze. Our office manager was particularly salty because she was the Greek chef who had provided these delicious morsels. She spoke, and it was with the voice of a vengeful goddess. "Susan, what in the heck do you think you're doing?" And then the foot tapping began. Tap, tap, tap. And the hand on the hip. And finally, the finger of doom did aim at Susan. Thief of treats, hoarder of spanakopita, and Susan did meekly open her Tupperware wide bowl and return unto the tray roughly 90% of the pita. Thus was the office manager appeased, and thus was Susan forever snack shamed. There's always that one person, isn't there? Whether it be, a colleague at work, a student, a classmate at school, anyone. When someone, brings in cake to celebrate their birthday or brings in communal snacks, they'll take just a little bit more than everyone else. And they know what they're doing. They're being cheeky. They're getting away with it, but it's kind of frowned upon. However, what I've just read right there, that's a new level. That is nuts. Taking 1/4 of the communal, food for everyone that the boss has brought in and chucking it, not just eating it, putting it in a Tupperware for later? Are you joking me? Well, are you? Now moving on to our second post. Entitled Cousin Demands Me to Cover Up. Little things you need to know. I am a 26-year-old female with a curvy body type, and I have a huge vertical scar from just below my sternum to my navel. I was given the scar because I needed emergency surgery. My life was at risk and there was no other way. Unfortunately, the surgery was botched. I only recently found this out a whole 2 years after it happened. Now, I needed that surgery because I had a perforated stomach ulcer that was at risk of leaking stomach acid into my abdominal cavity. It would have been a smaller scar, but the surgeon accidentally sliced my liver while cutting me open and caused blood to spill out. I lost 3 liters of blood. This meant they had to open me up further than planned. Anyways, long story short, I could have died that night, and my scar is my battle wound. I'm quite proud of it. It shows that I survive, and I think it's sexy. It's also been 2 years since the surgery, and the scar has healed nicely. It's not nasty looking, and it will fade more in time. Now back to the main reason of this post. I went to visit family a couple of days ago, since restrictions in my area aren't as bad anymore. It also helps that my family agreed to only invite the vaccinated members. Well, my aunt's house has a pool in the backyard, and I was wearing a bikini. It was tasteful and not overly revealing. Not a thong bikini that my aunt decided to wear, but it of course showed off my scar, which I didn't think was an issue. Everyone was having a good time when my second cousin, Melanie, came over, pointed her finger at my stomach, and gestured in a vertical sense, clearly referring to my scar. She then made a face and said, can you cover up, please? Your scar is triggering me, and it's not okay for children to see because it represents violence. I'm just standing there with my other cousin, Shannon, both of us wide-eyed over her phrase. I'm sorry, what violence does my scar represent? I asked her how on earth it was triggering her. Now, I'm autistic, and sometimes obvious social cues don't make it to my brain, and my whole family is aware of this. And she full-on says, so your scar is just ruining the atmosphere, and my children won't stop asking me questions about it. Like, not everything has to be about you. I told her that I was sorry it made her uncomfortable, but that she and her kids didn't have to look at the scar, and that I was not going to cover up because I wasn't ashamed of it. She then huffed at me like the big bad wolf, who was never invited in the first place. There's a reason why no one invites her, and yells at me in front of my family. I asked you politely to cover up your ugly scar. Don't you understand how rude you're being to me? I told you your scar triggers me, and you should just try, for once, to not think about yourself. You're obviously trying to be the center of attention at my family's pool party by flaunting your accident at everyone. We all know you only had that surgery to get reactions from people. Oh my god. Then she stormed off like a toddler would. I went back to hanging out with our family, and everyone just laughed her behavior off. She was being a brat. No surprise there. I get it. My scar isn't pleasant to look at, but my aunt was in a string thong bikini showing off her giant C-section scar, and Melanie didn't say anything about that. But because my scar didn't bring life to this world, it's okay to complain about? Okay, Karen. I brushed it off, but every time Melanie had to walk past me, she would say, ooh, 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 ooey, over and over, so everyone could hear her tantrum. Finally, I had enough when I heard her loudly explain to her children that their mummy's cousin has Munchausen's. That I pulled her aside and flat out ripped into her, in front of everyone and her kids. Now guys, I actually had to look this up myself. Munchausen's, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is a psychological disorder where someone pretends to be ill or deliberately produces symptoms of illness in themselves. So I guess kind of going along the lines of what this person was saying, in that OP is just looking for attention and got her scar, not because she needed it, but because she wanted a reaction or the attention. Crazy thing to say. Yeah, and the definition continues. Their main intention is to assume the sick role so that people care for them and that they are the center of attention. Jesus. Surely she knows that her liver was cut and she was pouring with blood. Oh my god. I said, you know what, Melanie? Grow up. You're 37 years old and you're being not only a bully, but a complete butthole. You're clearly ruining this get-together for your own personal gain, and I'm sick of your BS. Either grow the F up and get over the fact that people have lives that don't involve you, or get out and leave. Nobody wants you here anyway. She then started to fake cry. It was so obviously fake it hurt, and boo-hooed about how mean I am and how all this could have been avoided if I hadn't have shown up in the first place. Later on, when she was leaving, her daughter walked up to me and said, Mummy told me she wished you hadn't survived the surgery because you ruined her life today. Like, wow. Most of my family agree that she'd crossed the line, but say that I shouldn't have snapped at her so publicly. I do think it might have been tactless to yell at her in front of her kids, but I did suggest for them to run off and get their shoes while I spoke to their mum. They just didn't listen. Nah, sorry, to be honest, I disagree on that. Like, if someone is being that much of an idiot, they deserve to be called out. Don't care who it's in front of. Like, that's about you. At the end of the day, you're getting bullied, picked on by your, who even is she? Melanie? Some like random bimbo off the street. Don't care about her. It doesn't matter if her kids are there. They need to know as well that their mum is an absolute fraud. Like, seriously, don't even tell their kids to run off and go and do something else. Make sure they're there and make sure they're listening. That's what I'd say. It is very, very ironic though, isn't it? I mean, Melanie bringing up, what was it called? Munchausen syndrome? Hope I'm pronouncing that right. When actually, she kind of has that herself. Not that she's pretending to be ill or anything, but she is definitely trying to be the center of attention. You know, the fake crying, making it all about her. The exact thing that she's accusing you of, OP, is clearly what she's doing herself. It's mental. It's absolutely mental to even suggest something like that. She nearly died, man. And you're saying that? Have a look at yourself, Mel. Why am I still holding that there? And now moving on to our final story of today's episode. I need a new seat. So, I'm sitting in the Toyota dealer, waiting for a tyre. The wife managed to get a second screw in a second tyre in the span of 10 days. Apparently, she's been taking her RAV4 off-roading through whatever place used hardware goes to die. But anyway, I hear this exchange between an overly entitled customer and the poor guy who gets paid to take her rubbish. Obviously, I came in during the middle of this conversation, so I have to guess at the reason. The service guy was saying, "Mom, even if ketchup stains were covered under your warranty, we would only replace the upholstered seat cover, not the entire power seats." "But it's not what I paid for. It's not in factory condition, so I want to replace before the warranty runs out." Warranties aren't supposed to keep your vehicle in showroom condition. They're supposed to guarantee your vehicle works. Your power seat is working, and we have no reason to replace it. "But I can't sell it in that condition, and I want it replaced." Again, we're not responsible for cosmetic issues, especially when there isn't anything wrong with the vehicle. "If I lose money when I sell that vehicle, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you, this dealership, and I'm going to sue Toyota. I'll sue all of you, and I'm not going to stop until they fire you, because you're useless, and I'll tell them you're not representing their brand." "I'm sorry you feel that way, but there's nothing I can do for you." "That's it. I'm calling my lawyer." Again, I'm sorry you feel that way. Have a nice day. "No, but I'm serious. I'm calling him as soon as I get home, and he's gonna have your butts." Have a nice day. The temperature in the room dropped about 12 degrees when he said that. The entitled hag storms out, digging in her body bag of a purse for her phone. The guy looks up and calls me over. "Let me guess," I say. "She's threatened to sue before?" "Oh, last time she was going to demand that Toyota not only fire me, but that they sue me for all the money they've ever paid me, so I would die penniless in a ditch." "Oh wow, okay, here's my business card. If she starts telling them you said some horrible stuff to her, have your boss give me a call." And there we go, a quick little story to end off today's episode. Yeah, honestly, OP, good lad by the way for doing that at the end, because you know what, like, as I've said multiple times in multiple stories, the customer's always right, all this rubbish. I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of it, but I get it. That is, you know, what stores kind of have to do. And because it is just this one worker's word, probably, against this woman, yes, there may be some security cameras or whatever, but really, it's one person's word against another. It's so important what OP did at the end, you know, by giving him his card, saying, "I'm going to back you up," and makes him feel confident that, you know what, he was doing his job right, he's got backup if he needs it, and yeah, he's not going to get fired for something that he didn't do. I mean, one word just completely describes a woman. Mental. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you do want to see some more stories about other mental people, check out this playlist of all my Entitled Parents videos. If you are new to the channel and this is your first ever video and you've watched this far without subscribing, well, first of all, thanks for watching this video, I've got to say. But second of all, subscribe. Do it now. Make my year. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a beer.